bitch. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Mitch, your accountability buddy, and I'm back with part 2 of the Accountability Buddy series. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of goal setting, why it's important to go over them with your partner, and how to build that type of rapport, that type of cohesion, where you can be open and honest in a partnership to be able to tell someone, like, hey, you're slacking, or hey, you're doing really good. Let's celebrate some of these wins. You might not be recognizing them, but let's celebrate them. All right, so first things first, let's just talk about goals and dreams. Why is it important to have these? Why is it important to set clear ones that you know that you can accomplish and yet still challenge you? I know so many people that have set goals but have gone unfinished because they just didn't believe in themselves. They set the tone where they don't trust in themselves to accomplish this. And so then they just give up on it and they're like, they make excuses. Oh, it was too hard, or it's unrealistic. I can't make that happen. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can. You can make it, as cliche as it sounds, you can make anything happen in your life as long as you believe it, as long as you believe in yourself. You just have to set these up to where you can see where you're going. You set your own direction in life. Okay, so here comes a personal story of mine about how I kind of forgot who the bad bitch inside me was. And I mean, everybody's got a little bad bitch inside them. And yes, I'm talking to you, men. All of you guys that think that you don't have a bad bitch inside you, you do. We know. So, to get into it, I was always the type of person to set goals, maybe not clear goals, but I knew a direction that I was going. For example, when I was in the army, I knew that I wanted to get promoted. I knew I wanted to rank up. And so I would always set these goals of let me do this next, let me do that next. And so I would. And I would accomplish them. I had a direction in life and life was good. I never really had these ups and downs. It was more of like a constant roller coaster of me getting shit done. And then I got out of the military and I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. I didn't have any kind of direction in life. I didn't know what my goals were. I had something in the back of my head like I wanted to be a dentist, but I didn't know why. I think it was because my uncle had told me, I can see you as a dentist. And so from then on, I just thought, I was like, all right, that's what I'll do. I'll just go to school, do all of these years of schooling, and do something that I think I want to do. Well, that led to me not wanting to. It led to me not knowing where I wanted to go in life. And so I had no direction, I had no goals, and I kind of got stuck in what I call a routine of rut. I was down, and life was just kind of gray. It was neutral. I was living life just to live. I was going to work, coming back, maybe smoking some weed, eating some edibles, and watching TV. Nothing was really enjoyable. Nothing was really exciting in life. Now, this is the part where I tell you I had this like crazy revelation out of nowhere, and it's kind of like how it worked. So I was I was riding out an edible, and I was in it for the long haul with the edible. So I was watching Lord of the Rings, the extended version, and I was laying on the couch and I thought to myself, like, what am I doing? Why am I why am I laying here on the couch just doing nothing? What can I be doing? What do I want in life? And that's when it hit me, like, what do I want? I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted. So then I told myself, I didn't like change and get up off the couch immediately, but I told myself I'm going to take it more serious. I'm going to take my life more serious so I can enjoy it, so I can be better for myself, for my husband, for the people around me. I knew deep down I wanted more. And I didn't know how to get there, but I knew the first step was figuring out what I wanted, figuring out some goals. So when I was clear headed, after that, I made a mental list. I just started thinking, what do I want? What are my goals? And all I could think of at the time was materialistic things, which were fine. I wanted the typical stuff, nice car, nice house, wanted a fat ass so that way when I walked down the street I would snap some necks. You know. And that's all I could really think of at the time. But I mean they were something, they were a direction in life. And so I had to think, why do I want these things? And that's when I had to dig a little deeper in why I wanted a nice car. I wanted a nice car so I could feel good about my earnings. I wanted a fat ass so I could feel healthy, so I'm not getting winded walking up the stairs to my apartment. I I wanted all of these things, but I had to figure out the reason why. And that's when I started to get more direction in life and figure out more of what I wanted. Now, once I figured out why I wanted all of these goals, I kind of had my assignment. I knew what I needed to do, not really how I could get there, but I knew what I needed to do. I knew what I wanted in life finally. So, I started to look at them every single day. I started to work towards them at least 1% every single day. And some days it was hard. Some days that 1% looked like me sitting on the couch and just taking a day for myself. Slowing down is just as important as going full speed. But I started watching all of the videos on YouTube, all of the podcasts, and I opened my mind and I started doing all of the stuff that I probably never would have done before that. I started doing yoga. I started doing meditation and just trying out everything until I found stuff that worked for me. As silly as it sounds, once I set my goals, clear goals, and wrote out why, it was like everything changed. Everything inside me changed, the mindset. And yeah, that was still a work in progress. There was still ups and downs of where I wanted to go, why I was doing it. Do I really want this? But I work towards it every day. And that was the importance of setting some goals. It gave me direction, it gave me purpose in life again. I felt more in tune with who I was. I was getting there. It was a work in progress, but it was getting there. Now, as you can imagine, I was all fired up. I was ready to go. But that motivation only lasted for so long before I couldn't really count on myself because I hadn't built up that trust in myself. So I need some accountability. And I thought to myself, what are areas in my life where I'm holding myself accountable but for other reasons? And it was like work. I always held myself accountable to show up for work. So that told me I needed an accountability buddy. I needed somebody that I could tell my goals, my dreams, and have them essentially hold me accountable. So that's when I began to look for an accountability buddy. So I found an accountability partner. We both wanted to go to the gym. We both had the crazy idea to go at the ass crack of dawn, and we did it. We would text each other in the morning when we'd wake up and we'd be like, "Yo, you going?" And yeah, there were days where if he said no, he wasn't going, I wouldn't show up either. But I had to still build up that trust in myself to go when my partner wasn't. And that's kind of what it is. You lean on each other for a little bit until you can stand on your own. You feel obligated to do something or to show up for yourself to bring something to that partnership. So that way you're not coming to the accountability meetings and being like, all right, I got nothing. And they're like, oh, well, if you have nothing, then that means I can be easier on myself. So it's kind of like a mutual accountability, but it's beneficial for both. And something cool happens when you start to show up for yourself. Your mindset starts to change to where when you tell yourself, you give yourself a promise, I'm going to do this, you believe in yourself that you're going to be able to do it. You start to have more confidence in your abilities to set goals or to change things. You no longer believe, that's out of the question. I can't do that. That's unreasonable. You start to believe in yourself and it feels good. Now, you might be asking, how do I find the right accountability buddy for me? I think the first thing that you can do is figure out who has a similar goal with you. What are your guys' goals that you have in common? So, for me and Jose, we both wanted to go to the gym. We both wanted to start to work on our physical fitness. And so that's one area where we had common ground and why we wanted to show up for ourselves, but also how we could show up for each other, how we could depend on each other for accountability. Now, during this time, I already said I was listening to a lot of podcasts, audiobooks, and just trying to absorb a lot of information. This is when I came across the Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he had mentioned that he had an accountability partner for goals, and they would meet. I forget if it was monthly or quarterly, but they would meet and they would talk about it. And one rule that they had was they always had to bring something to the table. They always had to show up to the meeting and say, I did this. They can't ever say, I don't have anything, I didn't do anything. Because if they do that, the partnership, why is it there? Why are they there to push each other essentially in like a friendly competition? It doesn't work if you don't bring anything to the table. So what I took from that book was that I had to find somebody who was as invested in themselves as I was invested in me. Somebody who believed in their success, that they could do more. They could accomplish more. Now it helped to have similar interests with somebody, but it doesn't always have to be the case. Like if you both just believe in yourselves that you can do more, you want to perform more, then that's still common ground. You both believe in yourselves, and that's the similarity. So you can use that, but you have to find somebody who is invested in it. You can't have somebody who's going to quit 2 weeks in of you guys trying to meet. That doesn't that just deters you. That brings you down. Now when you're looking for somebody to be an accountability buddy for you, you can have multiple partnerships. So I had one for the gym, I had one for yoga, I had one for waking up on time. And some of them were just a text message or some of them were in person. But finding that common ground of having a similar interest, a similar goal will help. All right, so now that you've picked your accountability partner, how do you build that trust? How do you build that rapport? Sometimes if it's our close friend that we're trying to have accountability with, it might be hard to sit down and have those tough conversations where it's like, yo, you're not there, or how do you let a good friend go from being an accountability partner? So this is why I chose somebody who wasn't already a good friend, somebody who I could build rapport and build a relationship with around goals, around that type of environment. Set those boundaries of I'm going to tell you the hard truth. You need to tell me too. Now we built up this level of trust within our relationship to be able to talk to each other like that, obviously in a respectful way, but we did this by showing up to each and every meeting. Obviously, we missed a couple. There were some rough patches, but we showed up and we stayed consistent with it. We set boundaries and we set rules of essentially like you have to bring something to the table or else this partnership's not going to work. You have to be honest, you have to be open, you have to be a little vulnerable, you have to be comfortable with having those uncomfortable conversations. By doing this, I mean, you're bound to build some type of rapport, some type of relationship that's deeper than surface level with them. They're essentially your partner in success. All right, so we have reached the end of video 2. Again, thank you guys for showing up and watching this video, listening to what I have to say. I hope that you get some value out of this. In the next video, in part 3, we're going to be talking about why it's important to show up consistently to your meetings and how to get value out of those meetings. Bitch.